All right. Good evening, everybody. It is Last Call Sports with Joe Ryan as we get here to talk to you about the state of sports, especially in the tri state area. I'm trying to get my camera right. On the Thursday, the 23rd of April, the first day of the NFL draft. We have that going on. We have a lot of other stuff going on tonight. We have the Yankees winning, of course, and we have the Mets who right now are tied with the Minnesota Twins after having a 7-2 lead. It is now 7-7 in the ninth inning as the Mets bullpen again implodes. But we're used to that by now, aren't we, as Met fans? And um, I'll just say right now, Mendy. I hope he only rented in this area because he is not long for this area. That's all I have to say about him. Um, it's not his fault. This, and I'm going to get further into the GM predicaments in life later on in this broadcast. But he inherited a badly put together team. It's showing up. Lindor, it's Soto's back. Lindor is gone. This is not. This looks like if you're a Met fan, as long as I've been, you're used to more seasons like this than you are good seasons. So we will see how that meshes out. The Yankee fans are celebrating as they again beat the Red Sox, and after the Red Sox turned the table in 2004, it looks like over the last few years the Yankees have started to get the Red Sox number again, and of course they always finish ahead of the Red Sox lately. So the Yankee fans will be happy about that. Watch the Knick game tonight, and um, give them credit for coming back and making it exciting in the end. But and I'm not going to claim that I'm a big time Knick watcher. NBA basketball is not my favorite. I like NCAA basketball. I like hockey, so it's hard to find all the time to watch everything. But what I listen to, what I have seen, the Knicks don't seem to have a plan on offense. It's Jalen Brunson, figure it out, get at the cat, do what you got to do. And in the end, when it came down to it, it looked like Josh Hart was not ready for that pass. He thought Jalen Brunson was going to do one of his usual 1-on-3 miracle shots or failures. And when Brunson threw him the pass, Josh Hart would look totally shocked. And probably most of the people in the arena that night and the veteran people who watched the Knicks night in and night out were amazed when the pass went to Hart. But as it turned out, Hart was not ready for it. And it ends up with Atlanta going up 2-1. Now, does this mean it's over for the Knicks? No, it's one game. And, they always they always have a chance to come back. My whole thing is I'm not a Mike Brown believer, and this team is not filled with guys with playoff success that have come from behind. It's not like you look around and you find a Steph Curry sitting there or a LeBron or go back to the Tony Parkers and Tim Duncans and all the way back Michael Jordans, those kind of guys that had shown time in and time out that they can come back or win playoff series. Right now, you're looking at a team that doesn't know how to win, and a lot of times, I will say it's great to somehow go out and get a veteran. If you're going to make a real run, go out and get a veteran guy who's been there, done that, even if he's on his last legs, even if he's just a calming influence on the younger team. Get one of those guys to come in and kind of be the voice of the coach. But we'll see. The Knicks are now up against it a little bit. They have to bounce back. Everything in the playoffs, is it's not NCAA one and done. But right now, if they go down by 2, well, it, let's just put it this way: they're up against it. So let's get to the NFL draft, where the Giants picked twice in the first 10 picks. Love their pick of Arvell Reese out of Ohio State, a guy from a winning program, got a lot of athleticism, and we'll see what he can do. When they put him together with Abdul Carter and the guys they have on the team are ready. The thing about the Giants picks, and they got the offensive tackle out of Miami, Mauioa. Another thing, the thing is, when you saw the Giants last year, and what bothers you if you grew up a Giant fan, is even when I was a little kid, when they had guys like John Mendenhall and Jack Gregory and Brad Van Pelt, you could count on the defense keeping it close. Last year's defense, you didn't think could make a tackle if it had to save their lives. So to bring more depth in there and more depth on the offensive line, because let's face facts, the Giants, the rest of the draft is going to be a big thing for them. They've got their coach, I think, in place. Jackson Dart looks like they've got their man at quarterback, two biggest positions around. But then you got Malik Neighbors as your next best player, or maybe the best all-around player on the team. Who knows? Whichever one to rate him or Dart, one or two. We'll see if Scat comes back from his injury. Well, that was a bad injury. But they have a lot of holes. So I think it's a good first round for them. We will see what happens when they get through the rest of the draft and when they put together. And it's all going to be about Harbaugh stamping his image, his name, his likeness, whatever you're going to call it, on this team and building for the future. So we are going to, I never get too high or too low on draft night because, I've suffered through some bad drafts, but I've also seen some good ones. I can go back to Lawrence Taylor. I can go back to Phil Simms. I can go back to when they brought in Bavaro and Banks, and then you got the Eli Manning draft and all that. So I've seen some good ones. I don't know how to judge this one yet because it's easy to judge a draft when it's these special high profile players. We'll see. If Reese turns out to be what he seems to be, he could be one of those special high profile players. The Jets, David Bailey. I can't say I watched a lot of Texas Tech football last year. Scouting reports on him are good. On the one report I'm looking at, they say he was maybe overall the 20th pick in the first round. Position ranking, of course, was number 3 as an edge rusher, but this guy I'm reading a scouting report on, he picked him as going number 20, and the Jets take him at number 2. So they got a C- rating out of that, which makes you wonder about it. It makes you wonder, were they reaching for something here that maybe isn't there? Maybe there was some better choice that they could have gotten for the price of a number 2 pick. And then they picked Kenyon Sadiq. They picked him with the number 16 pick. This guy rated him as overall number 24 in the first round. Number 1 in his position at tight end. But again, believe me, anybody who's had conversation with me, I love having a good tight end, especially in the Meadowlands where it's windy and you can't always count on getting the ball downfield. I love having a good tight end. Shockey, Mark Bavaro, over the years, Howard Cross, the Giants always had great tight ends, and it works in the Meadowlands. So this could be a good pick at 16, but the Jets, unfortunately for Aaron Glenn, no matter what happens this year, unless this Vrabel scandal up in New England tears apart the Patriots going into the season, the Jets at best are looking at a 3rd place finish this year in their division. So I wouldn't say, I don't know what the importance of this draft is. Their next draft or probably next draft when they get their quarterback of the future, that's the draft that's going to show you where it's going to go. And I for Aaron Glenn's sake, I hope that means that they'll give him another couple of years to work it out. Otherwise, it's a usual Woody Johnson start looking for the future already. even though you haven't done anything yet. So let's go. Let's see if they're back to the Mets, see if they've done anything, if they've caught up. The Mets in the bottom of the eighth. Bo Bichette doubles, and they take a 10-7 lead. And it's the top of the ninth with the Mets leading 10-7. Amazing. The Mets about to win 2 straight after losing 12 straight. And that means they would only be 81 games away from 90 wins. Hey, great news for the Mets. So, anyways, going back, my main topic of the night, what I wanted to get into is, especially in this town, we're very hard on our teams, and rightly so. I mean, we're watching tonight. The Giants just came out, and Giants suggested, I don't know where they stand right now. We'll see what happens. We'll see what they put together and how this works out. And especially in baseball, where you see Stearns' team he's put together this year not being anywhere near the kind of team you would expect to be getting for $370 million. Yes, you got Juan Soto and you got Lindor. Of course, we talked about the injuries a few minutes ago about that. But it's just that there are so many question marks with the Mets letting Alonso go, trying to make Vientos a first baseman like that's the easiest task in the world. Getting rid of McNeil for what seems to be an aging Marcus Semien. Now we're going to move Bo Bichette to shortstop while Lindor is out, especially if Lindor is going to be out for a long period of time. It just seems like the Mets as a whole just seem to think plug and place and we'll figure it out. Plug and place and we'll figure it out. And the guy I blame, and it's really an overall, I don't want to say disease, but affliction. Affliction's a good word, of Major Baseball especially, and sports overall, where the GMs, and I can't blame them because their jobs are always at risk too, have now made managers and head coaches secondary players in the working of a team. And I go back and I blame Brad Pitt. Think about it. All these people see Moneyball, and you see Brad Pitt, who, let's face facts, good-looking guy, better looking than any of us, and he's putting together the Oakland A's of the early 2000s. He lost a lot of players to free agency because they can't compete because of the money, and he gets together with this genius, and they come up with this fantastic way of looking at baseball. Fantastic way of looking at baseball that is the most untrue story that's ever been told. Most of the players that are mentioned in that movie either don't exist or did nothing for the A's that year. Never brought up that Miguel Tejada was the MVP. The shortstop of the A's was the MVP that year of the American League. Eric Chavez was a all-star caliber third baseman who hit over 30 home runs. The pitching staff was Barry Zito winning the Heisman Trophy, the Cy Young, Mark Mulder, and Tim Hudson, 2 quality starters. So you have 3 starters there that could win 20 games at any time. And Billy Koch, who's never brought up in this, was one of the top relievers next to Mariano Rivera in baseball that year. But that's never brought up. No, it's all about analytics. It's all about the math. It's all about this. And it's all about being good looking. And that's what these owners have gone for, instead of going out and getting the old style, tried and true, baseball style or football style general managers. Let me just flash you back. Back in the 80s, the Mets and the Yankees, or the Mets and the Giants, I should say, owned the town. They owned New York. The Yankees were Bronx Zoo. The the Mets had better players. They won a championship. They were in the playoffs. If the wild card had existed back then, the Mets would have probably made the playoffs a lot more. But they also had a great GM who looks nothing like Brad Pitt. Just give you a look at him. Look at the guy on the right, Frank Cashin with the bow tie. Looks like your high school principal. You know, the guy who used to piss you off and scare you as he walked down the hallway. That was the Met GM when the Mets, the only time the Mets for more than 1 year owned the city of New York. And you had Davey Johnson. Again, not a really good-looking guy, but Davey knew his stuff, as he proved in other places. But Frank Cashin. Now, flash ahead to Stearns. Look at the guy. Young, pretty good-looking guy. Maybe not the best profile in the world, but a pretty good-looking guy. Presents himself well. And so far, not so much, not so good. What do you want to say about that? I mean, come on. It's just not you can't just go for the good looks and the analytics, man. You got to have something behind it. I'll flash you back even more to the Giants of that era. Look at this guy, George Young, huh? Look at him. GQ George Young, yes. Look, difference between Brad Pitt, George Young, a lot of difference. But George Young produced a decade of great football in the Meadowlands at Giant Stadium with 2 championships coming out of it. He drafted some of the best drafts in the history of the Giants, including Lawrence Taylor, Phil Simms, Carl Banks, Mark Bavaro. I could go on and on and on. Wasn't the best looking guy in the world. But now who are we betting on? Joe Schoen. GQ Joe. This guy looks like the guy you would look at a bar and be very pissed because, you know, all the girls are going to go to him and you're sitting across the bar getting nothing. So in sports, all I have to say to these owners is don't go for the good-looking guy. Go for a guy who knows what he's doing. I'm looking at the only guy in the city right now who I hate, I don't get along with, is Brian Cashman. Brad Pitt. Brian Cashman. See the difference? But Brian Cashman seems to know what he's doing. They make the playoffs every year, even though we can get into the analytics on him and how he does things. Right now, they're playing very well. Anyways, that was my big beef of the night. I will be back tomorrow. Hopefully the Mets, let's see if we've got any updates on the Mets. They're in the top of the ninth still from what I see. And we will be back tomorrow to talk again. I will be on with Nate around 5 o'clock. We will do a deep dive into the NFL draft with my buddy Nate Schmidt, Knoxville Nate, the man who knows more about college football than I'll ever know, and he knows all these guys. So we will be able to analyze this front and back and front, and hope you will tune in to us live at 5 tomorrow. This is Joe Ryan with Last Call Sports. We will see you later.